Hi, hello, my name's Beth. I'm an avid reader and aspiring author, and today you can probably see that there's a lot of empty space on my bookshelf there. That's because I have the biggest stack of books next to me to do a book haul. My partner has been away and I have been left with money. I bought books. Just realised this is wonky. That's great. I'm going to get into this because otherwise we are going to be here for an eternity, which is always fantastic. Let's start with not spilling liquids on our bookshelves. Let's start with this, and this is a copy of Shakespeare's Coriolanus. This is one of my favourite Shakespeare plays. If you have seen the recording of Tom Hiddleston doing this for the National Theatre, I'm so pleased your eyes were blessed with that, because it's fantastic. And I wanted to get a copy of it so I can actually read and annotate it, because I am a Shakespeare person. I hate to admit it, but I love Shakespeare. I grew up being a theatre kid. We're going to stick with the classics. Is Shakespeare's a classic, right? Shakespeare's always weird to me because I know that it's like old literature, but is it a classic because he's a playwright? Or is it just like an old play? The many musings I have. Also, I'm sorry for the light in here. It is a miserable Scottish day and the windows are like behind me, not in front of me. But I wanted to sit in front of my bookshelves because I finally got pretty bookshelves. Even if I do have to stack them because I've officially got too many books. Next we have Down and Out in Paris by George Orwell. I have heard many great things about George Orwell's writing. So I've also got 1984, but we'll stick with this one first. I love reading about humans. I suppose all books are about humans, but like the human psyche and what humans go through. And this sounds perfect for me because of it being to be poor and destitute in 1920s Paris and London, was to experience life as its lowest ebb. George Orwell, penniless and nowhere to go, experiencing this just as he wandered the streets of both capitals in search of a job. By day, he tramped the streets, often passing time with screevers or street artists, drunks and other hobos. At night, he stood in line for a bed in a spike or a doss house, where a cup of sugary tea, a hunk of stale bread and a blanket were the only sustenance and comfort to offer. It sounds incredible, and hopefully a short read, because it's only like 200 pages long. So, also, this cover is beautiful. Also, this book feels tiny in my hands. Like, my hands are pretty long, but like, it feels so small. I feel like a giant. And then, of course, we have the classic George Orwell, the one that everyone reads. 1984. I really love this book because it's floppy, but this is said to be the first like dystopian novel. And the ideas of like political tyranny and mind control, especially with what is happening in the world right now. Sounds so good. This video is nearly 5 minutes long and I've only talked about 3 books and there is about 30 next to me, so I hope you made yourself a nice cup of tea or a coffee. Because it's going to be long. Also, I'm not going into too much detail about what some of the books are about, especially like the popular ones, like 1984. Next we have Dracula, again, another classic. This is my next read because like Halloween is just around the corner and this was just so appropriate. I've also got Frankenstein to read, I think. Yes, my nan brought me Frankenstein to read, which I guess I should include in this haul, but like there's already I can't get that back in the shelf. There we go. There's already enough books to be read and to be talking about. But yeah, so excited to read this. Again, it's a floppy book, and these covers, the ones by Articus, are beautiful. That's what also the 1984 one is. As well as the picture of Dorian Gray. I don't actually know much about this. Apart from it's about a man named Dorian Gray. Not a clue. But sometimes going into books completely blind is fun. Especially classics. I say trying to convince myself. But again, look at this cover. So pretty. And I'm talking way too much. I suppose that's the whole point of a YouTube video. Oh, where do we go next? Carry on the same pile. Next I have Friends and Strangers. This is about an accomplice. Put your teeth in, you might be able to talk. Elizabeth, an accomplished journalist and new mother, is struggling to adjust to life in a small town after nearly 20 years in New York City. Alone in the house with her infant son all day and awake with him much of the night, she feels uneasy adrift. She neglects her work, losing untold hours to her Brooklyn Mums Facebook group, her influencer's sister's Instagram feed, and text messages with the best friend she never sees anymore. Enter Sam, a senior at a local women's college, whom Elizabeth hires to babysit. Sam is struggling to decide between the path she always planned on and a romantic entanglement that threatens her ambition. She worries about her student loan debt and what the future holds. In short order, they grow close, but when Sam finds an unlikely kindred spirit in Elizabeth's father-in-law, the true differences between the women's lives become starkly revealed and a betrayal has a devastating consequence. Sounds so good. I love reading about like friendships and then everything going wrong. It's so good. Also, again, with the pretty covers, like, I wish I could just like display all my books so I could see their covers because they're so pretty. Although this one is annoying because it has a fake sticker on it, but I will let it off because the fake sticker is like a blurb from Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she is officially my new favourite author, so I'll let it slide. Next, You Deserve Each Other. My partner is away. I'm missing him like crazy. All I want to do is read romances. This is about Naomi and Nicholas, the perfect couple. Their glorious, lavish wedding is coming up in 3 short months, and they are utterly, miserably sick of each other. Unfortunately, whoever backs out first will end up bearing the brunt of the wedding bill. When Naomi finds out that Nicholas has been feigning contentment too, they go head-to-head in a battle of sabotage, pranks, and an all-out emotional warfare to see who can annoy the other into surrendering first. So I suppose it's not really a romance, but it sounds so good. Of just, what will they do to get out of this wedding? I'm so excited. Apparently, it's perfect for people if you love the love quotient, the hating game, or the hating game. I have read neither of those books. I have heard nothing but good things about those books. So hopefully this book is also as good as the other ones have said to be. Next, this has been all over BookTok and BookTube. The Unhoneymooners. This sounds so good. Basically, don't play a drinking game with this if I say this book sounds so good, because you're going to be doing like 30 shots. And that wouldn't be good. But this is, as far as I'm aware, this is about 2 people who go to a friend's wedding who hate each other, but the bride and groom come down ill with food poisoning just before they're supposed to go on their honeymoon, and they don't want it to go to waste. So step in, I think it's the bridesmaid and the best man who hate each other, who go on this honeymoon. And I think it's like a forced love situation. like a one-bed trope. And I'm so excited. And it looks like a big book, but like the writing is really spaced out. So I imagine this is actually going to be a quick read for me. And like I'm going to sink my teeth into this and be like, juicy romance. Oh, my throat is so dry today. Too much talking. Also, too much alcohol last night is probably also not helpful. Next we have a Holly Warren book, and that is Pretending. I picked this up on a bit of a whim. The blurb reads, April hates men. How entitled and arrogant and cruel they are. She particularly hates being rejected by them after she's gone to so much effort to put herself out there. So when April meets Joshua, she vows that this time things are going to be different, because this time April is pretending to be Gretel, the perfect woman, the kind that any man would fall in love with. Gretel is going to lure Joshua in, and then she's going to make him regret it. But are all men really the problem? Is Gretel really the answer? How long can April keep pretending to be someone she's not? It sounds so good. I don't think I've ever read a book where someone's trying to find love but trying to ruin it at the same time. And it sounds really interesting. And I really want to know if she can keep up the charade of being Gretel or not. I have a feeling she can't. But who knows? Next up we have The Book of Two Ways by Jody Picoult. Picoult. Yes. There's one thing that annoys me about this cover, and this is so petty. It's the fact that all of like the title is not capitalized, and that's really annoying to me. This is about Dawn, who helps people prepare for a good death, but when she finds out herself in mortal danger, the life that flashes before her eyes is not the one she shares in Boston with her beloved husband and daughter, but a life she left behind in Egypt 15 years ago, a career in archaeology, and a man she loved. I'm so excited to find out why she doesn't think about her life currently and 15 years ago, and how all of that's going to go down. And I've just seen how small the writing in this book is. I might have to get one of those like Leon magnifying things for this, because those are some small words. And it's a hefty book. So if you're a fan of short books, this is 411 pages with extraordinarily small writing. Just to warn you, this could just be the English paperback edition though, that's like that. Oh my god, I wish... Let's see if I can move you to... Like... We've not even finished one pile yet. Excuse the mess. Because I'm still essentially in the process of moving. Oh, that's really wonky. Is that better? That's better. So I'm still in the process of moving. Or like getting settled in. But books are the most important thing to talk about. And this video is already 14 minutes long. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. Next up we have Dolly Alderton's book, Ghosts. This is her debut. I managed to get the ones with the spray pink edges, and that makes me so happy. Although it does have like the Asda tickled pink fake sticker on it. But it does mean that like some of the money that that some of the money from this purchase is going to breast cancer research, so that's all I care about. So the blurb of this is, everything gets easier in your 30s, right? That's like the opening line, and just, I'm not even in my 30s, and I'm like, oof, that sounds good. Though she has a plenty to celebrate, successful career as a food writer, new home, loving family and friends, for Nina Dean, her 30s have not exactly been that liberating. uncomplicated experience she was sold. From fading friendships to exes popping the question, everyone is moving on, or worse, to the suburbs. As her dad slowly loses his memories, her mum seems dead set on making new ones. When she meets Max, who tells her on a date that he's going to marry her, but what seems like an exciting new development will ensure this year is Nina's strangest yet. I'm so excited because, like, the blurb doesn't really give you much information other than there's going to be a bit of romance and it's going to be a bit weird. So I can't wait to start reading this one. I've got to the point now where I've got so many unread books that I'm struggling to choose what to read next. And that's a problem I enjoy having. Next up we have The Shelf. Annoyingly, I ordered this book and it came with like a slight rip in it. I'm not too concerned though because it's only the back cover and like the inside reading part of the book is fine. But the front of this book says, 6 women, 4 weeks, 1 house. Who will be left on the shelf? This sounds very much like a reality TV bachelor type dating situation. And I'm so excited for it. Because, like, I want to know who gets left on the shelf. And apparently someone gets humiliatingly dumped on TV. And that just sounds fantastic. I'm just sitting back for a second because my back hurts sitting up so straight for so long. I mean, there's worse problems to have, I suppose. Ooh. Then next up we have Doing Time by Jody Taylor. That's a nice easy name to say. Oh, I forgot to say, The Shelf is by Helly Acton. Just in case you want it. But okay, just fall over then. That's fine. A long time ago in the future, the secret time travel became known to all. Unsurprisingly, the world nearly ended. There will always be idiots who want to change history. Enter the Time Police, an all-powerful international organisation tasked with keeping the timeline straight at all costs. Their success is legendary. The time wars are over, but now they must fight to save a very different future, their own. This is a story of Jane, Luke and Matthew, the worst recruits in the Time Police history, or very possibly three young people who might change everything. This sounds so exciting to me because it sounds like the Loki series, or like very similar, and I loved that series like so much. And like something about like the time police sounds very much like the TVA, and like three idiots trying to save everything. Like, tell me that doesn't sound like something like the Loki series. Although this came out before the Loki series, so. Also, the cover also just makes me think of like the opening credits of Loki. Basically all you're finding out is that I'm a Loki stan. Next we have it's just Death of an Avid Reader by Francis Brody. And this sounds interesting. I would read the blurb, but it's really long. Basically, it's about someone who gets killed in the library and the mystery of it. This is not something I would usually pick up, but the works do 3 for £5 on books, and there was 2 other books I wanted, so I picked this up as my 3rd book. Next is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Can we just talk about this new thing that books have started doing? Why does it need 2 front covers? Why do I need to know what so many people have said? It just annoys me. It really annoys me. It's like a new book pet peeve. Like, if it was just like all one side and it just had this blue bit down the side, I'd be like, okay, that's just a design choice. But no, it's like, all of that is just what people have said about this book. I find that kind of annoying. But anyway, I would look up trigger warnings for this book. Because I think it does have some, especially coming off the back of the book. Vanessa Y was a 15-year-old when she first had sex with her English teacher. So, like, there's your first big, interesting one. Now the teacher, Jacob Strain, has been accused of sexual abuse by another former student, and a journalist has asked Vanessa to contribute to the story about him. But no one seems to understand that what Vanessa and Strain had together wasn't abuse, it was love. Look up other trigger warnings because I feel like there is going to be some. Also sounds like it's not going to be an easy read. But it still sounds interesting because, again, I like things about, like, the human psyche and how weird it is and how weird humans are. Talking about books that are a bit hard going and a bit hard to read, I picked up A Little Life. I'm willing to sit through that much trauma. I mean, if you watch any book talk, any book talk or booktube videos where they talk about this, they say look up the trigger warnings. Look them up because it is the longest list I've ever seen of trigger warnings for a single book. But it just sounds incredible. Also, I would look up the synopsis rather than me trying to explain it to you because it's quite long and it's about a life and just moving through it. I can't wait. Although, this cover, the English cover, I hate. When you see the American version with, like, the man crying and in, like, distress, so much nicer than this. Because this just looks like a non-fiction book about New York. And that's not what it is. Next, I can't remember if I've talked about this book in a haul before. This is the issue when I buy so many books. And that is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. Oh, dear. Oh, excuse me. You're not boring me. I'm just really tired. So, Lena is too young to feel stuck. Eileen is too old to start over. It's time for the switch. After blowing a big presentation at work, Lena takes 2 months sabbatical and escapes to her grandmother Eileen's house for some overdue rest. Eileen is newly single and about to turn 80. She'd like a second chance at love, but her tiny Yorkshire village doesn't offer many eligible gentlemen. A life swap seems the perfect solution. It just sounds so interesting that, like, a young person and an older person are just going to swap lives and see what happens, essentially. Very interesting to me. That is getting to be a big pile. Next we have the last act of Adam Campbell. This is about Adam. He's got cancer? I'll just read you the blurb again. It'll be easier than me trying to work out what it's about. Adam had it all. A great job, a gorgeous house and a loving family. Then he cheated on his partner. She kicked him out and then he was given 12 months to live. Despite the devastating news, Adam is determined to turn his life around before it finally runs out. Help comes in the form of an ex-junkie, a cantankerous train driver, a nun experiencing a crisis of faith, and a teenager intent on losing her virginity. All living on borrowed time, all desperate to feel alive before their time is up. Sounds so good. Like, I don't want to call it found family, but when, like, the most ridiculous people just come together and they're just going through life and it just gets a bit weird and a bit cantankerous and a bit over the top, and you're just like, this seems too absurd to be real, but I know that this could theoretically happen. Also, again, it's a floppy book. It's like porn to me, honestly, floppy books are. They make me so happy and they're so much easier to read because you don't have to worry about cracking the spine. because it's like impossible to crack the spine of a floppy book. If I'm ever in charge of anything book related, my thing would be all books, unless they're hardbacks, need to be floppy. And that is a hill that I will die on. Next we have Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendes. When I bought this book, it had a sticker on it saying, warning, adult content. Interesting. I would also look up, see if there's possibly trigger warnings for this, because it sounds like there could be someone that has that kind of content. Because in the Black Country, in the 1950s, ex-boxer Norman Alonso is a determined and humble Jamaican who has moved to Britain with his wife to secure a brighter future for them and their children. At the turn of the millennium, Jesse seeks a fresh start in London, escaping from a broken immediate family, a repressive religious community, and the desolate and disempowered Black Country, but finds himself at loss for a new centre of gravity and turns to sex work to create a new notion of love, fatherhood and spirituality. For those who aren't from the UK, the Black Country sounds very racist. It's not. It's just a place in Britain, somewhere in the north of England, the Midlands. I'm not sure exactly the counties it's made up of, but it is called the Black Country. Because I have had people think that me saying Black Country was me being racist, so just thought we'd clear that up. This video is 27 minutes long and I've only got 13 minutes left of film time, and that's a lot of books. Let's speed through. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's a Taylor Jenkins read. Sounds incredible. It's about Evelyn Hugo and her life and telling the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. Sounds incredible. I'm starting to trust that anything that Taylor Jenkins writes, that was really hard to say, will be incredible, because I've read 2 of her books now and they're among 2 of the best books I've read this year. Next we have Carol Underwood, Under a Greek Moon. Again, romance, moving to a Greek island, funnily enough. It's about a Hollywood actor and the perfect life and the husband and trying to seek out a new life. Sounds incredible. I love books about summer, love and Hollywood at the moment, so it sounds perfect. Next we have a book that I've nearly finished reading and I still couldn't tell you what it's about because I'm still confused, and that is Something New Under the Sun. I picked it up because of the cover. It's about a company who have created synthetic water, and the water is creating dementia in a whole range of people, but them saying that no, it's fine, no, everything's fine, you're just making it up, and how all of that goes down. I will say it's a very, very, very slow read. It's only been the last 50 pages that I've read, if that I've really started picking up with the story. Not sure I would recommend it. Unless you're really into dystopians and slow burns, then you'll probably like it. Next up is the new Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I don't know much about this book. I just know that a lot of people have read it and said that it's really good. Even people who don't really like Sally Rooney's writing like it. I loved Normal People. I think it was incredible. So I'm hoping that I will like this one. We are just speeding through because I'm determined for this not to be a 40-minute video. Next we have Big Guns. I love this cover. It's about an American mayor and them trying to bring in gun laws, and it just sounds insane. It's a comedy book. I can't wait to read it. Next we have a standard talked about book, Girl, Woman, Other. I got this second hand. I can't wait to read it. This is what the back says. This is Britain as you've never read it. This is Britain as it has never been told. From the top of the country to the bottom, across more than a century of change and growth and struggle and life, Girl, Woman, Other follows 12 very different characters on an intertwined journey of discovery. It is future, it is past, it is fiction, it is history, it is a novel about who we are. Oh, it sounds so good. But sometimes I do find it hard to follow books where it's swapping between different characters' storylines. So we'll see how I do with it. Oh dear, I am so tired. Next up we have the Dark Academia classic, The Secret History. I don't know what this is about. I know that everyone raves about it. I found a floppy version secondhand for like a couple of quid, so I bought it. And I will report back to you when I have read it. I wish you could see this pile down here because I'm worried that I'm injuring my books. Next. Oh no! Talking about injuring books. I think I've talked about this book in a haul. The Lock-In. I think I've talked about it before. I just picked it up because it was a part of the pile that I picked up off my shelf. Next we have Professor Anderson's Night by, I'm going to butcher this name, Dag Solstad. He's a Danish writer. Apparently this is a really good, interesting book about a professor and his night. And it's at Christmas and it just sounds wonderful and it's going to be a nice short read. I'm looking forward to it. And talking of nice short reads, and that's A Far Cry from Kensington by Muriel Spark. I'm not sure if this is a classic or not, but it sounds good. Look up the synopsis because the one in the book isn't very good for me to read. Stay. And finally we have Rooted in Evil, and this is another mystery book. Apparently I was really just feeling mystery books when I went on a buying spree, and this is about someone who has been killed but it looks like suicide but it's not, and like the mystery around trying to get to the bottom of, was it suicide, wasn't it suicide, and again, floppy book. But that is it for today. I hope that maybe you have found a book that you've never heard of and want to pick up. I'm sorry that I do a terrible job at explaining them. I'm trying to get better. If I had thought ahead, I would write a script out. But there is 30 books there, and it would have been difficult to sit and blab them all. / I'm lazy. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!